So, JP Morgan's annual shareholder meeting started this morning, started right at 10:30 down in Tampa, Florida. We've heard from the pundits, we've heard from politicians, you've heard from journalists. Now we're hearing from shareholders at JP Morgan. What are they saying? Are they upset about the London whale trade? Are they happy? Do they want Jamie Dimon gone? Colin Barr is here to give us a little preview. It's not much of a preview, right? The meeting started.
Yeah, the meeting's underway.
What's the general sense of the mood down there?
Well, I think people are a little anxious. I think that this JP Morgan has had a very good run, obviously, in the sense that they did better in the financial crisis. They actually were sort of, they took advantage of the financial crisis to get bigger, to buy some attractive things, at very low prices. And now the tables have sort of turned, where JP Morgan is on the defensive, which we haven't seen before.
Yeah, and we know that people were kind of shocked by this trade, the big $2 billion loss and counting, the London whale trade. Do you think shareholders are really just going to lambast the company? I mean, they can speak on it.
Right.
Do we expect to hear a lot of anger?
I don't know that we're necessarily going to hear a lot of anger. I think there are going to be a lot of questions about the whole JP Morgan thing. Has been that Jamie Dimon understands risk and he appreciates risk. And this seems to be a case in which they let that get away from them. They had this operation in London that was taking, obviously a fair amount of risk. And you can say from what we've learned now about the losses above $2 billion that they weren't being adequately monitored, which is a story that we've seen a number of times in the financial sector. And so he's going to get the question, are you guys really different, right? That's the question that cuts to the core of this is JP Morgan as different as we thought it was, or is JP Morgan just the same group of bankers that can't quite shoot straight all the time, right? I mean, this is something that other people bring up. It's like, are these banks too big for anyone to manage?
Right. Now we're streaming the audio of the JP Morgan shareholder meeting, and we're going to give you a little taste of that right now.
Treatment of military families, Jefferson County, Muni bid rigging, MF Global, and Magnetar. We as shareholders do not believe that any CEO is infallible, and looking for an infallible CEO is a fool's errand. Businesses like JPM need proper structures with checks and balances to ensure that risks are properly managed. Independent board leadership, which is mandatory in the UK, is a reform increasingly supported by U.S. investors and directors. It goes to the heart of corporate governance. Who runs the board and what's the board's role? Is it to work on behalf of stockholders or to work on behalf of the CEO? We maintain it should be to work on behalf of stockholders. And it's the CEO's job to do the same. Having an independent chair prevents any blurring of those lines.
Okay, so you can hear their little comment, and it sort of gets to the heart of what actually is the biggest issue today. Look, we know Jamie Morgan is not infallible. He's a human being. We all get that. The question is, what is the board's role in this? What is the role of corporate governance for the CEO? And especially it becomes thorny when the CEO is also the chairman. Right. This is the big issue down there, right?
Well, Jamie Dimon has sort of been the king of Wall Street. I mean, that was, again, the thing where they rode high out of the crisis, and he talked about the fortress balance sheet and all this sort of stuff. And so, can anyone rein that in? That's sort of the question that the governance people are asking. And JP Morgan would say, we don't need to be reined in. Look at how we've done. We've been more profitable. We had a record profit year last year, they would say. But there are people who would say, by the same token, that this is a sign that the company needs to make changes, right? This is that we need to have even somebody as obviously who's had as brilliant a career as Jamie Dimon needs to be overseen by somebody. Can't be his own boss. And this is arguably the risk of having somebody who's his own boss.
Right. And I mean, we're going to have a vote on that today, right? They're going to vote on whether or not to split.
Right. There's a shareholder proposal in
right.
which the shareholders can advise the board they can suggest that the board name an independent lead chairman, independent lead director, independent chairman. I think we've learned, I think, that the board is not going to do this, even if they do get a vote, a 50% vote for doing so, which I don't think we expect. I think we expect that measure to fail. But even if that measure passes, I don't think the board is going to strip Jamie Dimon of his chairmanship. The question for JP Morgan in the longer term is, if you look at the stock has not done well, and it's done better. I mean, Citi is down 93% from where it was before the crisis. JP Morgan is not down 93%, but by the same token, if you're an investor in this company over the long term, you've not made money, and that's going to come around at some point.
Huge
so
issue.
that may not be this year, but if we're in the same, if their stock is still $35 next year, maybe then.
Yeah.